Welcome to Chat with Leaders. Our mission is to give resilient servant leaders a platform for sharing the inspiring things they're doing to lead their teams, customers, and themselves wisely. I'm Jeff Bond, Director of Client Services at Berry, and today's host. I'm proud to welcome a terrific person and respected leader here in Atlanta, Tim Visconti, founder and CEO of PeopleLift. Tim, thank you so much for your gift of time today.
Thank you for having me on. I'm excited to chat with you.
Well, as I tell my listeners and I tell my guests at the beginning of each show, the point is to give our guests a platform to share what's inspiring their leadership, the specific challenges they're working to overcome, and how. And we're certainly not void of any challenges right now. It's the most challenging environment we've seen in our lifetime. And some of the principles that you're putting into practice to lead faithfully and experience success in this current time, however that's defined. So let me just jump right into that, Tim. Talk to me a little bit about how your leadership responsibilities have changed drastically as a result of COVID-19.
Absolutely. Now, as a little bit of a context prior to, we were, like many organizations, looking at 2020 as a growth year and as a time for us to double down on what we had learned from the previous years and to help scale those learnings into, becoming recognized not on a national level, but on a global level. And then COVID-19 hit and it completely dramatically changed every part of our business. From a leadership perspective, to answer your question directly, it has shifted from driving hard and pushing people to deliver on a day-to-day basis to much more of an empathetic understanding of we're all figuring this out together. There is no pandemic playbook when it comes to the employment and leadership style. And really for myself, it has become much more of an emotional check-in with each of my team members than more of a numbers-driven check-in. And when you talk about motivation day to day, we're just looking to grab positivity and bring that to the forefront of everything that we do. And then you mentioned faith-based drive. Something that has been really helping support that is being able to take a step back and say, I don't have the answers either. And maybe I should be listening more than talking. And that is really what's translated down to the individual level from a leadership perspective.
Yeah, and that's something that I've always admired about you, Tim, is that you're a strong leader, you're driven by your faith, but you're also not afraid to be vulnerable. I've often seen you put out great content about big changes that you've had in your lifetime or in your leadership that have helped you grow immensely, and adversity sometimes leads to that perspective and growing as a better leader, as a better human being. You've had to make some tough decisions lately with your business. I'd love to hear a little bit more about those tough decisions and a story you told me about re-engaging your team on a different type of mission.
Sure. Absolutely. So when COVID hit, just like many small businesses, we saw a catastrophic hit to our pipeline revenue and then a significant hit to our current revenue state because we were a growth-minded business. We made the decision to lay off and furlough the vast majority of our team members for the near term. We went through that exercise, and going from projecting to doubling our team to cutting down to the bare bones was as hard of a decision as I've had to make. And it didn't sit well with me. I'll be very direct. I toyed with it and was torn with it over on a day-to-day basis. And about 3 days later, became very clear to me that that was not what we needed to do. We needed to put cash in our employees' hands. So we went through the severance. We did not know if we were going to get the support needed and if this was going to be a short-term or a mid-term kind of a drop in the economy. But what we decided as a leadership team was to say, we're not going to take any salary. We're going to bring back our team, and we're going to dedicate our hours, dollars, and energy towards volunteer efforts to fight back with this catastrophic change to our society. And an amazingly powerful thing happened. We reached out with that. We put that energy out there in the universe, and it was called and answered upon with organizations that needed our support. And we've been able to pivot our entire growth-based business into a COVID-19 response unit, basically within a 5-day time frame.
So tell me a little bit more about some of the initiatives that you guys have been tackling specifically in that pivot.
Sure. So it's divided among 3 different organizations at this point, which can be kind of looked at as a vertical because there are subsect organizations there as well. So the first and foremost is the delivery of supplies to frontline medical, fire, police departments on the state level. So I'm working with an organization called Global Rapid Response Group. globalrg.com, in which we are procuring and delivering critical needs, including KN95 masks, N95 masks, the full coverage gowns, sanitation equipment, anything and everything that touches the cleanliness space, which is a very different world that we've ever been in. We delivered 250,000 masks last week. We have 2.35 million masks on order now that we're going to be delivering over the next 5 business days. And we're delivering those to 10 different states currently. And we're looking to make this a global business within the next 30 to 60 days. This is built by a joint venture agreement of 3 organizations that are not trying to make significant profit. They're trying to help. And it is a amalgamation of state, federal, and business to business groups that are looking to solve this problem. The second one is local delivery services. So there's Deliver End in the Midwest. So there's My Panda app local here, in which they're focusing and repivoting their delivery business to purely at-risk populations to deliver those very critical day-to-day needs that can be often overlooked in times like this, such as medication and food and water and those critical supplies. So those organizations right now are out there actively hiring. We're trying to hire 1,000 pandas this month here in the local area. It's fascinating. And then the last group is called the Container Box. The Container Box is a modular real estate organization that is pivoting their supply chain and their operations to focus on building mobile testing units, something you can go hotspot to hotspot and be able to help provide the federal and state and local communities with a rapid response to their testing needs.
It's amazing. Were those 3 relationships that you had pre-existing with those companies to be able to spin this up, or did you have to go out and actively seek them and seek purpose and mission behind what you were doing?
I'd connected with a Container Box previously. I've been in discussion with their founder and CEO, J.R. McNair, for a few months, more in a consultative, how would I approach this and how would he scale his business? And they were a little bit in the early stage of their organization, but for Global RRG and My Panda app and a Deliver End, excuse me, we were connected within 48 hours of us just starting to engage with this pivot. So from we're bringing our employees back, we're going to going out there and purely volunteering our time, energy, and effort. And then 2 days later, we were building businesses that didn't exist. And it's as powerful of a thing that's happened to me as a person on a professional level that I've ever had, because truly they were calls out there to the universe and they were answered very quickly, and we had the necessary energy, intelligence, and drive to solve these kind of problems. Just a fascinating turnaround. I don't really have a good explanation for you other than it was a gift and we answered it, and we're here to drive it home.
So it's interesting that you say the word gift, because it kind of led me to ask you about how, as leaders, we tackle adversity when it really does hurt. We have to make tough choices around furloughing a team, or really
Mhm.
making drastic pivots to the mission of our business and the profitability of our business. And a lot of
Mhm.
people, want to say that, hey, we're just doing fine right now, we're okay, when in
Yeah.
reality they're not. And so that vulnerability and action is incredibly important. So why do you think adversity can sometimes be a gift like that? I
Mhm.
mean, not many people will look at it that way.
It's interesting you mention that, adversity has a negative connotation. And it seems like it does have a negative result in a lot of times. But and this is just maybe how I was raised and maybe how I've just approached problem solving. But I don't like things that are easy. I've always liked challenges. So adversity just presents a different kind of challenge and forces you to rethink your baseline assumptions and, quite frankly, how you approach your day to day. And I have found that adversity finds me when I get comfortable. So it's almost like an awakening saying you can be doing more. So I like to look at adversity as an opportunity. And that sounds as cliche as it can be, but is truly how I guide my life and my faith in what we're delivering, is that we've been called to an action. And it was a very difficult few weeks to go from looking at your business in one light and then having to rethink if it doesn't even exist here in the very near term. But the call was, we have what is necessary to solve problems: people, energy, and the intelligence to get behind it. And so that adversity was just pointing that energy into a constructive and beneficial arena, and that's what we were able to do.
Yeah, and it's a tough look into comparing needs and wants, and when you realize the gifts that you have and how you can apply it into the world, you can make a big difference. And my hope is that as a result, your business grows tenfold, right? And that comes back to you. And people don't like change. Change is we've been thrusted into it now, but you embrace it. What changes do you see to your business in the long term once you get through whatever the dust settles a little bit from COVID-19 and all
Mhm.
the need for frontline support kind of wanes? Do you see yourself going back to the way things were, or talk to me a little about the future outlook?
It's a great question. And I could be a little pessimistic with how things may swing back. I just don't believe that we're going to be able to approach business in the same way in the very near term, and that because it will take a long time to adjust, we may not ever get back to where things were, which can be a good thing as well as a challenge. For me specifically, our business was set up as 100% remote at the start, so we didn't have a massive adjustment that a lot of organizations had. But for me, the biggest is going to be the kind of clients we're going to be pursuing and looking to partner with. The team that we have now and the energy we have supporting these organizations is as positive and as dedicated as I've seen in any and throughout my entire career. I've worked with some great teams and companies. And because we're doing things in our minds that are perfect center circle for our core values and how we want to spend our time and our energy. If we're helping people, I mean, the company's name was PeopleLift. It's PeopleLift. It was designed to lift others. We quote Roger Ingall right on our main page because we want to rise by lifting others. And we got away from that in some ways because we were growing, which pulled us away in some ways towards focusing on revenue. What this was just a wonderful reminder that revenue absolutely necessary to run a business. But if we can find and support and help grow companies that are aligned with our core values, it is just a win-win-win. And why would we do anything else? So for us, it is we're going to probably be narrower with the groups that we're going to work with, but they're always going to be designed to help humanity in some way. And that to me, I think is a wonderful adjustment. But then on the flip side, I'll give the one side that will be a challenge. I miss my team. I miss seeing them. We miss each other. We miss the energy of being able to connect day to day. I mean, that is something that you can't replicate via Zoom. We have all found the fault in this is that we're social creatures and we need to spend time together. And that is something that we'll have to figure out what the frequency and cadence and the safety measures are for us as we look to reopen. That is something that I hope to get back to when we do start to recover from this.
And I think it's important to remind the listeners too that even though your team is physically distant and you've had to make some tough decisions, they've all joined on board with your mission. And I've often drilled down culture. Culture is such a loaded word, but to look at culture as shared beliefs and values. And when you have that unity on the team and that alignment, it makes making these hard decisions and maybe looking at purpose and mission over revenue and profit, at least for a temporary time,
Mhm.
to be much more fulfilling and to actualize what you were gifted to do, and to purpose those gifts. So I usually close the show here, Tim, with kind of a call to action for leaders as it pertains to forging ahead in current times. I'd love to hear your perspective on that. If you were to give a quick summary or a statement as to what a good call to action would be for leaders to consider right now, what would that be?
Twofold for leaders out there is recognizing that we may be on the same path, but we're not in the same boat, and that is something that everyone needs to recognize. Is that the challenges we all face, they're all similar from one context, but there may be organizations out there and people in your organization that are just in a far different position. So really asking, like, what can you do day to day? What can you bring to the table? And there's been some great organizations that can do that and great examples of that. And then for me, just is going to be something I tell every organization, every CEO I work with. It is you're finding out who's really aligned with you right now, and to recognize and empower those individuals that are willing to go through this with you together. That is those folks are your 10-year employees. Those are your lifers. If you can, and then to engage and find ways of keeping them whole as best you can, because in the end, those are temporary folks or folks that'll leave at the first opportunity, or that we need to can't keep them at a distance at this point. Those folks that are sticking with you and riding through the hard times, those are the folks we need to find a way of taking care of.
I
That
love
would
the
be
word
my two.
empowerment too.
Yeah.
You know,
Hmm.
to realize that as a leader, your the burden of responsibility does not have to fall solely on your shoulders. But if you're not vulnerable enough to empower other people to take ownership and to support your cause, then you're really not strengthening, the culture or the future of your business. And so the word
Absolutely.
empowerment really resonates with me. So thank you for that perspective. Tim, how would you like for people to get a hold of you if they would like to learn more about you or People Lift or anything else that you're involved in?
Sure. The fastest way is our website at www.peoplelift.com. Several prompts and chatbots will pop up to engage with us. We're on it, monitoring it 24/7. We'll get back to you within one business hour.
And I would highly encourage people to do that because you're a great person to know. And I've been blessed to have a relationship with you over the years and very thankful for it. I love your perspective, your energy, your compassion, and just how authentic you are, Tim. So if you have any questions for me or my co-host, Tim or Chris, you can email us at info@chatwithleaders. We'll be posting this episode on our website, chatwithleaders.com, as well as on Apple Podcasts or wherever you consume your podcasts. We would be so grateful if you would subscribe, listen, rate, and review it and share it with others. We want this to be an inspiration for other leaders to do good things and really make a difference in the world. So, Tim, thank you. This time was really appreciated and was a gift.
Absolutely. I feel the same way. Thank you so much.